The reality is, even those who are very naturally talented put a lot of work and time and dedication in. Hi, I'm Michael Amade.
And I'm Draven Gray.
And we're with the Unleashed Singer, where we take our 50 years combined experience as professional singers, songwriters, and producers and help you become the singer you've always wanted to be.
Now, singing. You either have it or you don't, right? Right? That's bull malarkey. Hogwash, rubbish, nonsensical drivel.
Bullshit.
Well, yeah, what he said. So, too many students have come to us to find out if they have it. Whatever it, what is it? They want to know, do I have it or do I don't? Can I sing or can I not? And I get that question so many times, even at the end of a first singing lesson. Like, so tell me, do I have it? Can I sing? I'm like, it's not how your voice works. Anybody can sing, unless you have a medical problem keeping you from singing well. But even then, I mean, you fractured your larynx before. He's still recording. I mean, come on, guys. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket surgery, to put it another way. It takes work.
I think this is brought out a lot by movies, too. Right? We see movies where someone just sings and instantly everybody goes, oh my God, and suddenly they're a huge star. It's a perpetuated myth. Most people who are successful singers worked very hard to get there. When you'd hear about Beyonce Knowles, when she was in Destiny's Child, she was being raised, her father had them taking voice lessons every day and dance lessons. You know, they were working very, very hard. Now, there are people who have natural ability to sound great, and we sit there and go, oh, maybe they're the ones who are, amazing. Maybe they're the ones who are going to be the ones up there. And I tend to see that not being the same thing. In fact, what I actually find is people who are naturally good singers who don't train versus people who do train, you suddenly start seeing the gap widen very quickly.
Watch a live show of Freddie Mercury. Awesome voice. 15, 20 minutes in, his upper range goes away. Same with Sia. I've seen the same thing in her concerts. About 20 minutes in, suddenly her upper range is going away. They didn't train, and they're very open about they don't need to train. They can sing. I had a 13-year-old in my studio in a voice lesson. So I'm going the opposite way here, I guess. But she was, I had 2 lessons with her. And I just remember the whole lesson, that whole first lesson, she's singing stuff for me, talking about what she wants to do with her singing. And I'm thinking in my head, I don't know what to teach you. She was amazing. And I asked her, it's like, so how did you learn to sing this way? It's like, oh, I just listened to my favorite singers and just did what they did. Like, not everybody can do that. And it kind of ticks me off. I didn't tell her that I trained for years to have the voice I have. I trained for years to be able to hear those things that she's hearing naturally with just natural intuition. But she still had certain areas she could not get past on her own that, I was so glad that she did. Because I remember that moment where she's like, she missed a note. I'm like, what happened there? It's like, oh, it's really tight. I'm like, yes, finally something I can teach you. But intuition, I think that's really where that goes back to. And that desire she had. I'll let you take that, man, because that really came from your teacher.
Well, and yeah, so my vocal teacher, who was someone who taught for many, many years and had 2 doctorates from Juilliard, said that more and more he was convinced, and this was in his 70s, he said this, more and more he was convinced that talent was more about the desire to do something more than eat than it was about natural ability.
Oh, that reminds me of Beethoven. The story of Beethoven, that somebody came up to him after a concert, I guess this was before he lost his hearing. They're like, you're so amazing. I wish I could play like you. And he said, no, you don't. I wouldn't say this to somebody. I think it's kind of a jerk move, but he's like, no, you don't. And they were taken back by it. It's like, if you wanted to play like me, you would do the work to actually play like me. You would put in the work. Think about that.
The thing is that we've been sold this thing of someone suddenly sings and they're amazing, and then a manager discovers them and makes them famous. But the reality is, even those who are very naturally talented put a lot of work and time and dedication in to their career and to their projects. Even people like Freddie Mercury, who could sing. Think of, Freddie Mercury. There's a lot of people out there who can sing really well and don't have the career of Freddie Mercury, right? There's work, there's dedication, there's all of that is necessary to make this happen. Now, for most of us, we need to train. And training is where we become professionals. Training is where we become good and we understand how to fix the issues that come up for us later. For instance, Freddie Mercury losing his top range, Sia losing her top range. They could learn, or Freddie could have learned, Sia could learn how to handle that. I think a really good example of this is the band Haim. Danielle Haim, very talented musician. If you go back and look at their live performances of their first album, you'll hear that she's pitchy. Her voice is kind of pulled back in her throat. There's not a lot of good breath control. It's very obvious. You go forward to their second album, which came out about 3 years later, and she's dead on, and her voice sounds fantastic. You can tell she's trained. So if you want a very stark example of a talented musician who already could pull it off a little bit, go look at their earlier videos from the first live stuff from the first album to their second, and you'll see the difference. And that is probably the best advertisement I've seen for voice training.
I had a student of mine mention Ice Nine Kills, which is more like metal and deathcore. And he has some singing into it. It's like horrorcore. But he said, I'd listened to his first album last week and it sounded awful. And then, their latest album, he sounds amazing. There's a definite difference. Heck, listen to Soundgarden's first album compared to their second one. I actually know who his teacher was, Meister David Kyle, and a lot of what I teach is straight from that lineage and what Chris Cornell learned. So I know what he went through and how that transformation happened. And it took training. It took training his voice. We're not talking free tips on YouTube. There are some good ones. There's a lot of great vocal teachers out there on YouTube as well. But we're talking about a training routine built for your voice and your goals. Find a teacher. We do it. Come to us. If you can't afford us, find somebody who will teach you towards your goals. Not teach you how to sing Chris Cornell in opera, which I had a student come to me because his teacher was doing that. Somebody that knows how to get you where you want to be and doesn't tell you you're limited in what you can do, but tries to help you figure out how to get to what you want to do.
I think that's a big thing. And I think the last thing I want to add to this is one of the reasons I even got into taking voice lessons myself is I went and I played a recording of mine for a producer who'd been a Grammy-nominated producer years ago. I don't think I've ever told you this. And we were sitting there listening, and he said, "This sounds pretty good. You train voice?" I go, "No." He goes, "If you're serious about this, you're going to have to train voice. Everybody who does this at a top level has a voice coach."
Yeah.
That afternoon, I called and I found a voice coach, and I went to him, and that was the guy who changed my entire life. So I think this was a really important moment for me. And if you're sitting on the fence about this, you're not sure, I can't recommend it more. Not just because we coach voice, but because we know what it does.
Yeah. And if you want to take lessons from us, check out rocksinginglessons.com. Otherwise, make sure you find a teacher that will help you meet your goals, not theirs, your goals, and where you want to be with your voice. And